Yo, FNATIC are back, and they're back on Ascent. And if you've been watching my videos, you'll know I made a video about FNATIC and their Ascent attack side and it not being very good. But they changed something. They changed this. They changed the chamber to a sage, and like magic, it fixed it. Well, it didn't fix it all, but it fixed one crucial thing, which is that, as you will see now in this first pistol round, you can do something that you couldn't do before with the chain comp. One little note is, I do hate the Ascent pistol meta, and I do mean a meta, because there is a meta on Ascent that the defenders just always do something like this. 3-4 people just stacked here in mid, bunch of sheriffs, and they're just gonna aim down mid. This has just like become like a thing that like every team does. Now, eventually, you know, FNATIC don't, you know, they just kind of like see that is kind of the case and don't take any damage from it. And so then obviously RRQ have to kind of spread out and play a normal round. But I'm just a bit sick of, you know, just all stacking and all doing the same pistol round over and over again. Anyway, we will see in this pistol round the thing that FNATIC can do with this version of the comp, with the Sage rather than the Chamber, that they couldn't do before. And this first round is a good example of that, because you see, after kind of, you know, milling around in the classic FNATIC fashion, they eventually are going to get into this spot, right, where we are going to do a full BXX, and this is something that they could not do before. When you're playing with the Chamber, even on pistol rounds, which normally are the rounds where it's a bit easier to do this, it's still very difficult to just group up as 5 and go to a site. But as you will now see, the Sage just gives us a little bit of something different that allows us to actually do this.
In a pistol round, that wall is going to be devastating, but they are walking into a stack up. 3 players on this side of the map. They're slowed as well by that smoke being into position. Actually, Alfia doesn't look like he's going to use that wall for the post plant at all.
Oh, he's going up into the window as the exec comes through. Kayak already dropped, and here's Alfia's opportunity. He's being spotted, still manages to find one. He's pulling them back into this. Opening pick for RRQ, but an immediate...
So, obvious Sage value there. Now, in my personal opinion, I'm actually not the biggest fan of doing this particular wall on a pistol. You know, if I was coaching most teams, I would say, you know, don't do this wall on a pistol round, because you probably don't have a guy this good, right? And hitting these shots with a classic at this range, you know, even most pro players, you know, it's not going to be easy for them, right? And obviously the advantage of having a Sage wall on a pistol and, you know, a position like this or like this, right, is that it takes forever to break, right? So if you put a wall down like here or something, you know, like this just is not a threat, right, for a very, very long time. So normally I wouldn't actually be for doing this kind of wall on a pistol, but you've got Alfia, so you know what, do whatever you want, because Alfia... The thing is, this actually isn't that great of an exec. Like, I think something goes wrong here with the timing of Kayak, you know, where he TPs in, but like then, you know, we don't get the wall until he actually dies, right? So he's essentially just completely TP'd in on its own. So it's not even like necessarily the best exec from FNATIC either. But it doesn't matter, because Alfia is here to do this, and as you can see, he does a great job. And then the Soman Flash is very good as well, as Boaster comes down. And then obviously you get this post plant position to play from as well, which is also then very, very strong. In a 4v2 now, FNATIC will be able to close this one out.
Back in, that double entry is huge, but Alfia still on the wall, has been caught out. Chronicle in a fairly open position, but will just opt to fall back. Utility not really available for that attack, but a singular paranoia for Munyan.
Could get them back through. Chronicle's just got his flashback online. There's the shot from Jemkin, though. Crashies, who is desperately low, is down. And it's the 2 players in Boathouse who have to pull this off. Chronicle.
Let's skip ahead now to round number 6. The score is 3-2. Crucial gun round in the game. And just take a look at FNATIC again here, right? And this is not something you commonly see, you know, from FNATIC, where start of the round, you know, we're kind of doing this like fake mid play. So we've done a fake TP in here, you know, we're sending in a kind of dart into mid as well. So we're kind of like faking like we're going mid, and then we're straight into B main, right? And again, this is not something you really expect here from FNATIC. And actually RRQ do a good job here, right, in terms of they've got an op this round, and they're trying to hide where this op is, right? So we've got someone shooting the dart, you know, so that we're making it look like this op is in mid, right? So we shoot the dart. You're going to see Jemkin tuck now as like he's ready for maybe some kind of Sova drone coming in here. So there you go. He tucks away from the drone and he avoids it quite well. So this is actually quite nice by RRQ, because hiding the op essentially, right? Zafiro is the Cypher here. He's the one destroying the drone, and now he gets back on the angle. So it's actually quite a nice play by RRQ, you know, to get this up in an unexpected position. But we're going to get a really nice Yoru flash that we just saw thrown out, and Alfia is the one to get that kill. But what I want to talk about next is what happens here from the Sage again, because now they're going to go for this BXX. You got the TP coming across here as well. We got the 2 Sage slows. Right, so slow in here, slow in here. We've got the first kill. You're not flooding in from here. We're trapping anyone here, making it harder to flood from here as well. We got Thorns here, right? So you got, if you're trying to flood in, you got Sage Slow here, Thorns, Sage Slow. You're not flooding in. We're not going to let you flood in, right? With the Sage and the Vice. Really, really nice by FNATIC. So we're trapping anyone in who's in, and no one else is getting in, right? And now watch this wall. So look, Alfia's still in main here. He's going to wall off this, right? So from main, this is the Sage buff, right? From here, wall this. That is super, super strong, right? Just super, super strong. Whilst that's going on, you're getting the Omen flash down here. You're going to get Yoru Teep kind of TP back here into a free kill there on the site. As I said, not easy to flood in. Literally, you can't do anything. Super, super nice by FNATIC. And again, this is the difference, right? This is what a Sage can give you that obviously a Chamber in this spot isn't really giving you anything. You're just playing with almost no util that's really that useful for you for this BXX. But in this comp with the Sage, not only do you have this, which is a nice option, obviously you still got the threat at any point that you could go up into the window as well, right? It does make a big difference, and you see the success that FNATIC have right here.
The big weapon of the operator down. They try to delay with the salvos, but Kayak's already through, crashed through the gates on the B site. He's claimed it for FNATIC. A plant now secured.
RRQ would actually just go and save from that point. But now let's check out the very next round, round number 7. And this one, well, we see something not go as well for FNATIC, and we'll talk about this. So we start with that Sage Slow little lineup there. And FNATIC, they're going to start off with kind of, you know, what looks like a typical FNATIC play, right? So we fake the TP in mid, we're creating pressure over towards mid, but now we're going to actually group up and come over towards the A site instead. And this is where you're going to see this Sage comp, and this has always been true of Sage, by the way. Like, this is not a FNATIC thing, this is not an anything thing, this is just how this kind of comp plays out and how Sage comps play out in general. Is this B site, as I said, right? You've got multiple options now. We've got the wall on there, that's a threat. You got wall here, that's a big threat, right? 2 different execs that are kind of very different in terms of the threats that they provide, you know, but both very, very strong. Over towards this A site, you don't nearly have the same thing, right? You don't nearly have as good options as you do over towards B. There is no window you can boost up or to and get a nice angle on, right? There isn't an easy wall that you can place, you know, to stop people flooding back in. So you're going to see them here just do kind of this kind of wall. And that wall's not very good, right? The A walls that you'll generally see, maybe something like this. Maybe something to look over the smoke. You know, other than that, you have to wait, basically, and actually take the site and then wall something off, which is fine if you can do that. But obviously, again, you're then running into the same problem of, well, first you have to actually take the site.
That aggression to come in. Early TP just to try and clear out Switch. The run in. Kayak's already gone down. Smoke going to be thrown back out to try and delay them that little bit further, but it feels like now FNATIC are a little bit more committed. Boaster has made that move eventually, but is the only one out. They're still just trying to get through this choke point, stuck by...
To be fair to RRQ as well, they also get a very good read of what's going on from FNATIC here. Maybe that's because FNATIC didn't put down, you know, enough of these rounds early on of kind of showing quite a lot of util, right? Like, they go for this smoke, you know, they've got the TP into the site here, so you can see RRQ, I mean, literally, look at the map straight away, right? Like, they are in heavy position. They understand what's going on here. So maybe FNATIC just kind of lost themselves a little bit here, making it a bit too obvious as what was going on. You've got Boaster doing the Omen ult in here. He then actually cancels it and goes away. You get the Salvos coming in. You got the Omen flash coming in. So FNATIC just aren't in that great of a spot. We actually get a kill on Kayak here, so he can't TP in as well with the op. And what they do, you might be like, oh, it was quite cool what they did with Boaster, right? So the flash comes out here, and as I say, you're going to get this TP across here with then the wall, right? So you might be like, oh, that's a cool play, right? Like, we're making you think that we're all have to come this way, but actually our Omen has TP'd here. That's quite creative. That's quite clever. And whilst it does get Boaster this first kill, right? So Boaster then does get this guy, who again is just like looking at this wall thinking, well, they can't be here. So he does get a kill. The problem with this then for Boaster is now none of his teammates can ever help him. He doesn't know if there's more people this way, so he could push that way, but, you know, he potentially is just going to die in his mind, right? And, like, he has a whole wall off from his teammates being able to ever help him in any situation, right? So what you see here is eventually RRQ just go, well, okay, this guy's stuck here with nowhere to go on his own. Let's just kill him. And they do. Right? And that's the problem with that play, right? Like, best case scenario, in most case scenarios, you're going 1-for-1. But when your duelist is already dead and you're struggling to get in onto the site, you don't want to go 1-for-1. And that's exactly what happens here, right? So you can see on this A site, you know, not as easy, right? In terms of just like, yes, we can just, if we want to, go and group up and do a B exec. That is on the table. This straight, let's just go A, maybe not so much. And finally, let's finish here with round number 9. And this one, FNATIC are actually on an eco. Okay, so they got Visalt, but they've just got a Guardian. They've just got one Vandal in here. But this round is going to show something about this comp, about something that you need to know if you're playing against this comp, right? And that is, you essentially can't play retake B, right? If your goal is to play retake B, perhaps if you got some big ults, maybe you can. But in this round in particular, you know, RRQ don't have many ults. We get a little bit of pressure out towards A. They put this smoke here with a Sage Slow here, FNATIC. You know, so they create some pressure towards A. Now they're going to fake like they're coming towards mid with this little, TP in here with the Vice flashes. You can see they fake the TP. And now they're just going to group up and go for this B exec that we're talking about, right? So you'll see here they're going to go for this B exec now. But you see RRQ here, look, they're playing off-site. Right, they're playing no one actually on the site on B, but even the fact that, you know, FNATIC don't have great guns in this round, just take a look at how hard this is for RRQ to get back in once they've lost that space, because against this comp, playing for a full retake B, you might be in quite a bit of trouble.
So if you sit out of the site, fairly easy to step back. It's a slow ult to activate, and then you don't lose any of your weaponry. You can run back in on the retake. And you can see all of this utility being expended, set up to try and make things that little bit more awkward. Well, there's absolutely nobody here.
Yeah, won't be the Still Garden used, but instead the gate crash alongside Paranoia to clear that backside B. We've already seen the impact from Kayak, but so passive are RRQ. They tried to disrupt the plant, they won't find it. Chronicle lands a double poster on the Frenzy, hold on! This is looking very winnable for FNATIC all of a sudden! And Xvero falls quickly. Crashy's getting...
So yeah, if you thought like, oh, FNATIC are probably going to win this round, maybe they'll have to use a res, maybe they'll definitely use the Steel Garden, right? Well, no, they don't. They don't even use those ults, right? And I actually do like... I personally really don't like the Steel Garden that, you know, people do from B. I don't really think it's that good of an ult. Often you will get some spam back here, you know, that can cause you some problems, particularly if your opponent has an Odin. I don't think that is the best ult, to be honest, in the game. But I was expecting them to use it during post-ban. I did think that would be, you know, a pretty good idea. But they take the site, even though they use a ton of util. They get in here, they plant the spike. But now, again, you've got some problems here, right? And FNATIC, they decide to fight forward. Again, you have this tiny, like, this is a small choke point anyway, but they make it even smaller by the fact you've got the Sage Wall. Chronicle just, you know, playing on this nice off angle here. Manages to get 2 kills. He was absolutely frying overall, and then Boss is going to get involved from main as well, and this is very, very tricky, right, for RRQ. Like, they thought like, oh, we're going to be fine, but maybe they slightly had missed that timing. FNATIC do a good job of fighting forward and then really like cleaning up with 4 players alive and not using any of their ults, right? So a really dominant round from FNATIC, which again just goes to show you that with this comp, this B exec, right, very, very potent, very, very strong. Now, in general, I think now that people have seen, you know, FNATIC playing this comp or whatever, they'll probably come up with some ideas of how to deal, you know, with a FNATIC B exec and understanding that that is a big threat now. But it does make a significant difference to the chamber, the fact that you can now just do this, right? Not every round has to be like, well, we have to go mid because we have to split because we can't do an exec here and we can't do an exec there. So overall, I think FNATIC have found a solution to their Ascent attack side. Does it make their Ascent unbeatable? Absolutely not, but I do think at least this is a step in the right direction. They can actually win some attacking rounds.